Okay, welcome back, Jessica and Erika. Thank you guys again. Today we're going to be focusing on what was it like when you got to treatment. In our last episode, we knew what led up to it and that there was this big pivotal point of we need more so my daughter doesn't relapse, right? And so now we want our listeners to know about okay, what was it like once you made that decision to go into treatment? So let's begin. What was your first impression of Discovery Ranch South?
My first impression.
Honest impression.
So I'm thinking about my very first day. I remember it so clearly. I was just kind of like, what is this? I've never been to a treatment center like this one. It was, definitely set for more long term than I've been to. And I was just like, I don't know, almost like a culture shock. And it was all girls, and that was also different. And I guess my first impression was I thought the campus was beautiful. I really did. And my first day was a rainy day, and rain is my favorite weather. And I thought it was a beautiful campus. And one of the very first things I did was I met my cow, and that was a beautiful experience. And when I met my cow, I'm like, okay, maybe this is doable.
How about for you, Mom? What was it like the day you dropped off your daughter?
There's so much that leads up to the moment that she's there in the place that we'd already decided she was going to go, but that she's there so then we can leave her there. And I felt relief that we had brought her to a place we knew she was going to get help. At the same time, complete despair that I was leaving her in a place where she was going to get help. So it was the same feeling. It was good, and like taking a breath that she was going to have this help. But then a lot of worry and sadness, thinking, how is she feeling about this? Mm-hmm. What is she experiencing? She obviously is angry that we're bringing her to a place. But there's something interesting about having the opportunity to transport her ourselves through a long drive and then deliver her, because we had a stay overnight before taking her to the ranch, and there wasn't a risk of her fleeing.
I was going to ask.
Yeah.
How was the transportation?
Her dad and I talked about, would she be as erratic as jumping out of the car while it's moving? I mean, thoughts like that come to mind, because we can't predict her behavior and what she is feeling about going and what she would do to prevent from going. So from a physical way, she was willing. I'm sure she had a lot of things to say in her own mind that she didn't even express verbally. But she was resolute. That is the overall feeling that I received from her, is like, okay, I'll do it. Giving in and being resolute about it. I definitely didn't like saying goodbye.
Were there moments of doubt for you in the decision? And if so, how did you work through those?
I doubted every single day if this was going to be the right decision. And then I knew it was every single day. It's just a roller coaster of, is it right? Yes, it's right. Is she going to be okay? Yeah, she'll be okay. Or she might not be okay some days, but this is what we need for her to be okay overall. Just a lot of back and forth in my own thinking.
How did you come to the point of like, yes, this is right, and get through that?
Even when I left her, the day we dropped her, I didn't have that feeling of, yeah, this is right. I didn't feel that until we started to receive information back. And when I say information back, it isn't the first information back, because we received that, and I can go into detail about that in another way. But when I can see her again through the web meetings with the therapist and see her and talk to her, because we get some one-on-one time, there was a moment I knew it was the right thing.
Are you okay sharing that moment?
First of all, being able to see her after not seeing her for a number of days and see her on camera was good. But to hear her talk about what she was doing with her cow, and that she named the cow, and the activities she had participated in. Now, keep in mind, it wasn't a delivery filled of joy. She wasn't super excited to say, "Yay!" It wasn't excitement. But the fact that she was sharing,
her head no.
Nope.
she was sharing back what was occurring. Like, okay, this is going to gain traction. I know it, because I knew how much she adores animals and loves the outdoors. And he had even said previously she loves the outdoors. She shared that here. When we took her to a ranch, even in that moment, I don't like it outside. I don't want to be outside. Like, anything to say that she didn't like it, but I knew better of her, and I knew that it eventually would seed in.
That's awesome. You said you wanted to share a little more about like the onboarding process and how they communicated with you. Go ahead.
A lot of onboarding process requires paperwork, especially the history that needs to be told about a child that needs care like this. And it is important that the details are there, because it's going to be a new care team that is interacting with the child. So as much information that can be provided is going to be beneficial.
Yeah, you want to be able to hand that off to them.
Absolutely.
So that she can get the best support.
So it's like revisiting and timelining every single thing. When did something start? When did a behavior start? When did a treatment start? How many times of a treatment? What is needed? Who's the who in all of that?
Yeah.
So that can feel very heavy, because already making the decision to deliver the child, but then to go through all the detail of why.
You have to relive it.
Reliving it. And it was exceptionally difficult for me. And then delivering that to an intake person at the ranch and taking that, and then follow on questions. It can feel a little frustrating to answer repeated questions because you've already provided the detail. It's not dissimilar to when you go to a doctor appointment and you've already filled out the paperwork, but they still ask you the questions. So it feels like that, and it can also feel disingenuous. And it's hard to exercise patience too, because there's a high level of emotion and anxiety. I had not had anxiety in my life, and it showed up when things with Erika started to show up. So that's okay. It's recognizing what it feels. And
There's a good reason for anxiety.
Yes.
It keeps us safe. It's not necessarily a bad thing all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now we can all relate to Inside Out.
Exactly.
And that when anxiety shows up, I was like, oh yeah. It's anxiety. But it also gave me something to relate to Erika with, because it hadn't been present in my life. Different for different reason, but it was still something to manage. Anyhow, about coming into the ranch, so there's the kind of pre-work that you do, and then it's delivering her, and you meet the therapist, and they come in to basically do the handoff. And I I wasn't entirely comfortable with it. It was really hard.
What made it hard?
We had a really good and still have a good relationship with her therapist and nutritionist. So her care team was really strong.
Outpatient.
Outpatient.
An
care
outpatient,
team.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Her outpatient care team. And still just so grateful that we found the right people.
Yeah.
Of how hard that can be for many.
So then having to trust someone new.
Then having to trust someone new and not the same.
Yeah.
I mean, not even the same when they come into the room and how they present themselves. It was a little jarring.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense.
Your child is being taken over by strangers.
Yeah, you really are taking a big leap of faith and handing your child over.
It's true. And because I feel that I would not have had as much trust and been okay to deliver her had I not done that many times previously.
Yeah.
Because the very first time of doing that in any of the care is unnerving. Don't know where she's going, who's got her, what's she doing. It's the child I've never left before anywhere.
Is she okay? Is she safe?
All the questions.
Yeah. So how was that communicated to you after she'd been there for a bit?
I appreciated that the intake person was able to communicate with me to let me know when she had settled into her place, what she would be doing in the next few hours. And at the end of the day, received a message and even some photographs of this is what has happened here at the ranch and this is where she is. And here we go.
Do you remember
Buckle up.
that first picture?
I do remember the first picture.
I was holding a bottle for my cow, and I wouldn't let them take a picture of me without doing the middle finger. And so they scribbled it out and sent it to my mom.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh at that, but
It was funny.
It is very funny.
It was very much my daughter, the way her gesture, her humor. So to me, it was funny. It wasn't like an act of defiance or being blatant about something. But yet, here I am. This is where I am, and I'm just going to show you all. Yes.
Oh man. So what was the hardest adjustment for you, Erika?
The hardest adjustment. So it was the community was extremely different than the ones I've been to before. Like the treatment facilities I've been to before were like absolutely no touch, but this one, like you could hug your peers, hug staff, like appropriate touch,
Yeah.
And that was different, and I really liked that because I'm like, okay, good, I can hug someone because I don't have my mom.
You need that.
I do need that. And I guess the hardest adjustment was doing so much in my day. Like the schedule is packed. You are constantly doing something, and that was a hard adjustment from the treatment center I went to before because they wouldn't let you stand for more than 5 minutes. Like you couldn't do I couldn't walk around so much, or else I would get in trouble. I napped most of the day. My body was exhausted from introducing more nutrients and having a feeding tube. So adjusting to the day-to-day schedule was really difficult. And meeting new people. It's always a scary part because as a treatment community, when a new person comes in, everyone knows about it. It's like, new person, okay, we're excited. Who's it going to be? What are they going to look like? What's their name?
Yeah.
All
what
the
trouble
things.
are they going to cause?
I know, are they going to be a good kid
What's
or are they
their
going to be a bad kid?
story? Why are they here?
Yeah.
All the curiosities that they know, they all know about.
And, it's a new person. New people are always a focus in that community because you're away from society. So everyone's like vultures. New person.
I will say it is interesting the first time when we went to drop her off, as parents, we walked around with her in the community, and we were in where they would serve the meals. And so therefore the residents were there the other
I
kids.
saw them walk in.
Yeah.
For the first time.
And they all saw us, and
all the heads turn.
all the heads turn. Everyone looks. And it's to be expected.
Yeah.
But I can imagine for many, it would feel a little strange, like
Sure.
why they're all staring at us.
Yeah.
There was one individual who immediately approached my daughter and introduced herself. And that person is still present in our lives. And we joke about that moment.
One of my closest friends to this day.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, I love her so much.
We will always remember you. It is because you were the first one to enter. But
I still see her, sometimes.
That's so awesome.
there are some scary things that come from peer interactions at the ranch. And they're, again, things that we had shared before. What are they going to learn and pick up? Like, what is my daughter going to learn from others that might not be what I want her to learn?
Sure.
What are some behaviors that we don't want to perpetuate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this question is for both of you. Did you feel that you were emotionally and physically safe? And that goes, did you feel like your daughter was safe?
For the most part, I did feel emotionally and physically safe. Sometimes I was scared, but I knew that the staff, most of the staff was great and were trained to, protect me. But at the same time, I was still scared. But I felt more safe as time went on. But, there are certain moments throughout my journey where there is a certain out of control individual.
You mean in regards to like the other girls at the program?
Yes.
Okay, maybe acting out physically, emotionally, being unsafe.
Yes.
In regards to their behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Never a
Just to
staff.
Here's a place where I would say past experience of being in treatment places helped me, because I fully expected in phone calls home that I would hear, this isn't where I need to be. Mm-hmm. I need to come home. And I think it's important for parents to get this ahead of time. You're going to hear these things from your child. And it actually is in the packet from DRS that says you're going to hear your child say these things. And it's almost verbatim.
It is. It's funny how like, as a kid, you're like, oh, like this is new. No one's ever heard this before. And it's like, oh man, I could write a book of all the things that you guys have said over the like 10 years, like this, none of this is new.
Every single facility I've been to, I'd call my parents and be like, this isn't right. You guys need to take me out.
Yeah, I don't belong
I
here.
need to come home. Yeah. Every single one.
I think you could admit this, but like as a daughter, as a child, like even when I was a kid, like we know what emotional heartstrings to tug on. Like we know what emotional bombs to throw at our parents to have them like hit that panic button, right? Like,
oh yeah.
Well, there's also receiving that from her and my response to be something more controlled and not try not to give the advice, listen, and then if I felt it was something that needed addressing, I would do that with a therapist. And there were a number of situations where I learned some detail of a situation that I would bring because it's concerning to me as a parent, and that's my avenue to address that. Mm-hmm. And I would want to understand the situation better and make sure my child was truly safe. And of course, everybody's perspective is going to be slightly different of situations and scenarios. But even with knowing that, I wouldn't dismiss what I was hearing from my child.
I love that because you can still validate your child, right? Whether you know if it's true or not, doesn't matter. You can still validate, like, yes, you feel uncomfortable, you feel unsafe, or something's going on that you're not okay with. Mm-hmm. And then if it's concerning enough, instead of making it a big deal with them, going to the therapist and saying, hey, can we look into this? Because that is your right as a parent to be like, is my daughter safe? Is there more to the situation? Are you aware of this? If so, are you handling it? How are you handling it, right? That is your right as a parent and as a staff, as a therapist who's been at a residential treatment center. It's it's good to hear those scenes, because maybe what if we did miss something? What if we do need to look into that? Or yes, actually, we do know exactly what's going on, and let me tell you the rest of the side of the story, right? So that kind of open communication involvement is so key as a parent, to make sure that your child's treatment is, safe and going down the road it should be going down.
Agreed. I also take into consideration the staff that is working there and all that they're met with each day at a very intense place to work. And I wouldn't want to approach any of them in an attacking manner. I would want to offer the information and find out more detail. And if I felt my feedback wasn't met with some kind of resolution, some kind of information back. So reciprocity is a big thing. If I give something, I want something back from the ranch or the therapist, knowing that my child was safe. And there definitely are other avenues to take to escalate. And that wasn't really something necessary all the time. It happened maybe a couple times because I felt like I wasn't just getting enough.
Yeah.
And I think that's a right of a parent in paying attention. I also know that my daughter is in a program that's a phased program. And in each phase, you're going to need to experience certain things to then graduate to the next phase. And so the first phase is learning everything of how things are done in the environment, getting level set of where you are as the person there seeking treatment, and then the assignments and things, the therapy assignments and such, to be able to get to another phase. And there were some setbacks, there were some step backs, and there were times that she would move on a phase and then get bumped back down a phase. Mm-hmm. And that's all a learning process. And also, let's remember, these are teenagers that have normal teenager behaviors.
Exactly. Thank you. Amen.
Yes. Yet in a place where there are some rules, they have to abide by the rule, and there are consequences to that, which I appreciate, because in a normal home environment, there would be consequences for poor choices. Yeah. And there needs to be consequences. And I found a much different daughter from phase 1 all the way to phase 4. And the experiences and the growth that she had along the way. I really, by the time that she was there for 4 months and I felt there was a little movement, I was becoming very concerned of what is going on. And we had something pivotal happen in our family. It was very special to my daughter, and that helped her to want to throttle forward with her healing and being a good person, is how she termed it, and wanting to live life and move on. And that just escalated into a skyrocket of positivity. She started doing more work toward goals. And unfortunately, with the calendar year and the way holidays fall, we sort of got bumped in the holiday time. And so her time at the ranch was extended a little bit more than when she was ready for. Mm-hmm. But it was worth it, because we all got to participate in a graduation. And what an amazing experience that was.
I bet. And I love that you talked about like that turning point. I kind of want to hear about that turning point from you. But I also just want to touch on this, how involved you are, how involved you were as a parent, as a family, because you're not going to know if your child's safe. You're not going to know if they're progressing if you are not involved, if you're not doing your therapy, if you're not doing your work, if you're not communicating, asking questions, right? If there's any concerns, ask, talk. Clear is kind. I love that saying. And so to those parents listening, like this has come up on other podcasts I've had with parents, is how important it is that you are as much part of the process as your child is. You don't just send your child away. You just hope that they get fixed, that you are involved, if not 110%, to help them get better and to fix yourself as well, which is so key. So
it is very much key. It isn't the delivery of a child and that's it. You can just go home and live a life and your child is there getting healed in some magical way. Yeah. Especially if family and having relationship with your child is important.
Yeah.
There must be both sides. There absolutely, it cannot be one-sided. One can come away from the program healed at their level, but return to society or a family or a parental situation that they wouldn't be prepared for, ready, if the parents were not along the journey.
Yeah.
So what did that look like for us? We met every week with the therapist and with our daughter. And we also would have some time at the end of that, just some one-on-one time with daughter and parents. It was really important for both of us parents to be present for those parent sessions. We would be given homework, tasks, and things to work on. Same as our daughter, she would have the things that she needed to do in order to meet the requirements for phases. I enjoyed the understanding of what was needed in each phase, so then I could meet that from my side if I needed to. I feel that there are some times when it can feel taxing. Like,
I'm sure
it's a lot every week, and it's also felt by my daughter. Coming into the room and sometimes just laying on the floor because completely therapied out, like enough therapy, enough interaction, enough groups, enough that you just can't, and you just lay on the floor. And
that is called treatment fatigue.
Exactly.
I got that really fast.
It is. And it is fair to say that. And there were times that I would advocate for her and say, it's okay. Let's let her take a break. She would stay out of the room sometimes. I think Erika does self-regulate well, laying on the floor.
I love the floor. There's a picture of me during a group during parent sem. I'm just sprawled out on the ground. I needed that time.
You've got a great sense of humor.
Oh, thank you.
She does. And I think this sense of humor, seeing that return and seeing the joy is like, yes, there she is.
There's our daughter.
There she is. Something that was mentioned about coming to know when treatment was needed. And she was talking about just checking out, like being in her room and just wanting to sleep. It's a purely loss of joy.
Yeah.
The joy isn't there. And when this has been a child that's filled of energy and joy, and then it's missing, regardless teenager stuff, it just knew something was not right.
Yeah, trusting that mother instinct.
100%.
Yeah, because I was always wild. I was always all over the place. I was always just
Yeah, so when we would get glimpses
that.
of that, so when the glimpses started to become closer together and more common, and then her self returned, and a self that has more self-awareness and understanding, and her grandfather became part of this journey with her.
Oh, awesome.
And it was amazing. He wrote her letters, and he made them so that they were for both of us, and shared things that I didn't know about his childhood.
Really?
And understanding that, and what a great example that was for both of us. And experiences like, hey, humans go through stuff, and you can come through this. They're building your resilience. And through the relationship that they formed, her grandfather came to her graduation at the ranch. So cool. And it was so amazing. He got to see where she had been.
Yeah.
Did you want me to talk about the turning point?
Yes,
okay.
I do.
Yeah,
I was just letting your mom finish.
I know.
There's so much to say.
I know
so much. Well, let me ask you two. Let's do 2 questions for you. You can decide which one you want to do first.
Okay.
How did you cope with like discomfort and challenges, and then also what was your turning point like?
Okay, I'll start with the turning point. Well, I can remember not the exact date, but I can remember exactly the moment I shifted. I was at school at the ranch, and I got a 5-minute phone call with my family, and I was like, "Oh, is there something going on?" It was special permission to have that call with my family, and my sister told me she was pregnant, and I was just so overjoyed. I've always wanted her to be a mother, and I knew it was gonna happen one day. I was just like, when is she gonna, have a baby? And I was so excited, and it just, a big thing for me is I want to be an aunt to my niece. I want to be a good person. I want to be an example. I don't want to be a story that my sister's going to tell her about. I want to be there. And it made me think about my life, my childhood. And then it made me think about, I want to be a mom someday. I want to have kids of my own. And the way I was going, that would have never happened. And I'm like, okay, it's time to change things. And that's where I can recognize things started to skyrocket, and I really put in my all into myself. And at first I was like, okay, I'm doing this for my niece, I'm doing this for my mom, I'm doing this for other people, because at that point in my recovery, if I couldn't do it for myself, because if I said I'm going to do it for myself, I wouldn't have done it. Mm-hmm. And then I got to the point where, okay, I'm doing this for myself, for my happiness, for my peace, for my future. And things just got so much better.
I think that's the hardest part as a parent, with watching our kids go through recovery, especially from big mental health things, because we can't decide that for you. Yeah. You've got to decide that for yourself eventually, of like, are you going to do this for yourself? What's going to be that turning point and motivate you? We can provide support, the tools, the people, everything, but ultimately, like, you have to choose.
Yeah. It's a choice that you have to make, and it's a really hard decision to make.
It is.
Especially with like that mindset you're in.
It's a brave one to make too, because you have to go do new things, and it's easy to stay stuck and in all the negative patterns, because you know what those are.
That darkness can become a comfort, because it at some point it was an escape for you and a comfort for you, and it's hard to leave that comfort space, you know. That I would say that would be like my ED voice, that's where I found comfort. That's where I could escape from outside things. I could focus on that, which is not a healthy thing. Yeah. And having to get out of your comfort zone. That's the point of life. You're not going to go anywhere if you don't get out of your comfort zone. So that's what I had to learn. And dealing with the discomfort, I, at first, because things were such a struggle, I coped with very unhealthy coping skills. And then a big thing that I used to cope at the ranch was my cow, or both my cows.
I need to know your cow's name.
Okay, my first cow was named Jellyfish.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Of course.
Jelly for short. I called her my smelly jelly. I love her so much. And then my second one was Peep. He was my little Peep.
I like your brain. It's a good brain. You got good creativity.
I loved my cows, and sometimes you could ask a staff if you could walk to the cows and just hang out with your cow for a little bit. And that's what helped me. I really connect with animals because I didn't have to say any words. You know, I could just sit there and hug my cow. I could watch them, you know, try to figure out what they're thinking about. They're not thinking about much. That's a cow.
You don't know that. I'm just kidding.
Ooh, food. Ooh, that's my mom. Yeah, I was their mother.
They equated you to food.
Yeah, Jelly would get excited when I'd go see her. And she had little curls on the top of her head. And I'm like, that's my cow. She has curls.
Of course.
Yeah, that was a huge thing, is the animals. And also my horse, his name was Jasper. He is the sweetest horse, and actually just his spirit and what I felt from him reminded me of my grandfather, my grandpa, and, you know, his letters he wrote to me, and hanging out with my horse. I did not have to say any words for that to be a therapy session. I could just go and I could brush his hair. I could go look at him in the eyes. He had one blind eye, actually. I could just go look at him and find so much comfort. And he was a great horse.
I think also some of the things learned with the animals is seeing their behavior, especially with the horses, and their protection of one another. There was a mare for a time, I think twice, maybe once, and
A baby horse.
the mother horse.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Jasper would protect
Maple.
They
were best friends, and Jasper would protect Maple while she was pregnant.
Yeah.
It was interesting to watch their behavior, and the equine director there also had a degree in psychology and able to help with therapy that way, which was fantastic.
Shout out to Lee.
Shout out
We can
to
say
Lee.
that, right?
Oh, yeah. Lee is
Okay.
great. We've had Lee on the podcast before.
You have?
Yes.
Yeah,
We will have
Lee's
to listen
great.
we will have to
Amazing.
listen. Shout out to Lee, and oh gosh, there were
Destiny.
so many I was thinking about today on our way. Dave.
Well,
Talk to us about Dave.
What does
Dave do?
Dave is the rec director, and Laura. I'm not sure Laura is at the ranch still, but Dave and Laura ran the rec program, and I loved the rec program because we'd go on hikes, climbs, we'd rappel, we'd go swimming sometimes, and I got really close with Dave. He was a big support person. He taught me so much about the outdoors. He taught me so much about myself, and he is one of the funniest human beings. I'd enjoy talking to him. I'd mess with him a lot. We'd mess with each other. And his dog Kramer, I love Kramer. He's for some reason he's a certified service animal. I don't know, because one time I was like crying on the floor, and he totally stepped on me to get to his ball. He's a therapy dog, is he?
He's a dog.
He's a dog. He's
Dogs
Kramer.
be dogs.
But that rec program made all the difference. That was one of my favorite parts about the ranch. The rec program helped me in so many ways. It helped rebuild my strength. You know, it helped me rebuild my passion for the outdoors, and it taught me more of what I want to do in my life. It taught me more about myself and who I want to be.
I love it. I love the animals that you talked about, and I love the outdoors, because I think that's what makes Discovery Ranch so special, and that I personally love as a therapist. I have a bias towards the experiential. I love getting out of the office because it allows therapy to go to such a deeper level and hit home more than talking about things, right? You just learn so much more about yourself with animals because they're so accepting. They're just so much easier than humans, right?
They love you no matter what.
Unconditional
no matter
love.
What you've been through, who you are.
Horses mirror you. They're magical. They really are healing, beautiful creatures. And then the outdoors in itself, I mean, so much. I could go on forever about how amazing that stuff is. So that's a real
Healing.
powerful part, I think, of the ranch.
I agree. One of the things, I'll go back to answer the question of why we chose the ranch and what took us there. It's the programs they had was encouraging to us, because the location's on a ranch. So I mentioned that we like the outdoors, but they have the opportunity to do recreation or performing arts. And to see music, dance, performative art as part of the program, and how that connects with so many. And even my daughter with her dance background, and she was able to do a little bit of both. So even though she went into the rec program and did the things that they did for trips and specifically recreation, she was able to also do some performative art things.
That's so cool.
Like dancing, and how fulfilling that was for her.
At the parent shows, I did dance solos.
Oh, wow.
And that, I would count that towards like my senior solo, which I got to miss out on at my normal life in back home. But getting to do that at the ranch gave my dance life closure, and that helps.
I love
And
it.
it does, and I think that speaks to also who's there working in staff and has the talent and the skill, the knowledge to teach, and what a joy it was to be able to see that senior solo
Oh, I
and
bet.
really label it that.
I also
cool.
did a duet dance with the dance teacher that was there at the time.
No way. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I bet. To end our episode, I'd love to hear from you, Erika. What would you tell a new girl starting her first week?
I would tell a new girl that, first of all, everything is going to be okay. Everything happens for a reason. And it's going to be the hardest thing you'll probably ever have to do, is you're going to have to find yourself. You're going to learn who you are. You're going to learn where you want to go. You're going to learn how to treat yourself better, treat your family better, but most importantly, yourself. And, you know, that plays into a part of rebuilding your relationship with your family. I think that's important in most cases. But also, go with the flow. Everything happens for a reason. Be like a jellyfish. And stay positive. And don't let others bring you down, because they will try. But you got to ignore them. Even if you feel like you have no friends, it's better that way, because you're there to focus on yourself, not other people.
I love it. I just keep seeing Dory singing "Just Keep Swimming" as you keep talking.
Exactly.
And
Just
hopping
keep
over
swimming.
the jellyfishes, and you just give off that vibe, like go with the flow, like Crush. So, anyways, I just can't stop thinking about that.
That's a compliment.
No, I really appreciate you sharing your journey, what it was like through treatment, because it's not easy, and it does. It takes a lot of courage to share all these scenes with our listeners. Is there anything else, Mom, before we end that you'd like to add? Okay. Well, you guys, thank you so much for talking today. In our next episode, we're going to be talking about what is life like after treatment. Because as you know, life doesn't just, your journey doesn't end there. It's a whole new journey that you start. And there's going to be ups and downs along the way. And so excited to hear what your journey's been like since you've been home, and to share that with our listeners. So stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.